In the old days, buttonhole presser feet started off like this. These days, they're a lot smaller. Many machines now come with a one-step buttonhole presser foot similar to this. This tutorial will go over what makes it different and how to use it. With a regular buttonhole presser foot like this one, buttonhole markings like on pattern pieces are very important. You're using it as a guide for knowing when to start and end the buttonhole. When using this type of presser foot, you need to either switch to different parts of the buttonhole stitch while sewing or push some other button on your machine. It works, but there may be small inconsistencies between buttonholes if the machine doesn't have a way to save the size because it's going based on your decision. With the one-step buttonhole, you can still mark buttonholes for placement, but sizing is determined by the button. As long as nothing changes, all buttonholes should be exactly the same, and you don't need to do anything more than guide the fabric and press the foot pedal. So it's super easy if your machine has this feature. On the back of the one-step buttonhole presser foot, there's a part that slides out. This is the slider scale. Put the button on it. Once the button is in there, slide the slider scale inwards until the button is snug and not going to fall out. This tells the machine how big to make the buttonhole. If you're using a shank button instead of a flat one that doesn't fit in the slider scale easily, you'll need to measure the button. For this, measure the diameter and add it to the height of the button. Mine has a diameter of 7/8 of an inch and a dome height of 1/4 inch, not including the shank, just the button portion. 7/8 plus 1/4 equals 1 1/8 inch. I'll slide out the presser foot slider scale 1 1/8 inch and keep it there. You don't have to fit the button inside. Put your one-step buttonhole on your machine like any other presser foot, snapping it in place. Turn on your machine and select a buttonhole stitch. You might have different kinds, but they should all work with this foot. Thread the machine. I like both threads to be under my foot, so I'll slip the top thread into the gap in the foot so it'll be underneath and out of the way. Put your fabric under the foot and lower it, starting at one end of the buttonhole mark that's closest to you, lining it up with the crosshairs on the foot. There should be a one-step buttonhole lever to the left of the needle. It may have an image of a buttonhole on it. Pull this lever down and it should fit behind the closest notch to you, sticking up on the left side of the foot. Again, it goes behind the notch. Now press your foot pedal down and the machine will start creating the buttonhole. You do not need to do anything, just let it be. When the one-step buttonhole lever hits the second notch, it knows this is the end of the buttonhole. Just keep the foot pedal down and it'll do all sides, stopping when done. When finished, raise the foot and cut your threads. It's a good idea to test it on a piece of scrap fabric to make sure that it is indeed the correct size buttonhole for your button. If you need to do another one of the same size, move your fabric to the new area and put the foot down. Make sure that the lever is still pressed up behind the first notch to start. Once all your buttonholes are done, don't forget to put the one-step buttonhole lever back in the up position, and you can remove the presser foot. You can cut your buttonholes open with a seam ripper, putting a straight pin across one end so you don't accidentally cut too far, or use a buttonhole cutter. With very little effort and complete ease, you should end up with great-looking buttonholes. The one-step buttonhole makes it easy, quick, and is beginner-friendly. Our book, Professor Pincushion's Beginner Guide to Sewing, Garment Making for Nervous Newbies, is now available to order. Go to professorpincushion.com/books or click on the link in the description to see a list of vendors where you can purchase it.